you probably won't be even allowed to go to Japan. Let me explain. Japan's right-wing party has been growing significantly over the past few months. And just recently, they have even requested all press in their country to send the press people's personal details to the right-wing leader to affirm and to confirm whether they will or will not go against the party. So basically, they're getting rid of freedom of the press. And they are also talking about kicking out foreign workers from Japan. And they are saying that Japanese women need to be more with Japanese men. It is absolutely crazy. The right-wing party is a scary, strong, fast-growing party. And Japan's prime minister is not happy about it. And his popularity is dropping while the right wing is increasing.
Welcome in Japan. But if you are at the misfortune of having your trip already booked, how is this going to affect you and what can you do now? In my recent video, we learned that foreigners are becoming increasingly less welcome in Japan due to the rise of the far right and the increase of far-right populism gaining incredible popularity throughout the nation. But now there are people in my comments wondering which foreigners are deemed okay and which foreigners are the ones that are going to be targeted. There's a common misconception that Japan's increase of anti-foreigner and anti-immigration sentiment is only geared and only affecting black people and those of darker skin tones. But you could not be more wrong. For example, within the last year alone, Joshua Thompson, a white British national that was born and raised in Japan, who by the way speaks fluent Japanese, was openly told foreigners not allowed when he was trying to rent a property. And this was despite having Japanese guarantors and literally having a permanent status in Japan. And again, white man who was fluent in Japanese. Another example would be a long-term white Irish expat who reported campaign signs laminating foreigners. This was directed towards all non-Japanese people, not just those of darker skin. He even said as an Irishman, he was wondering if he was being singled out. They say illegals, but it still stung. Now, obviously, let's not be silly. If you are a black person or someone with darker skin, you are more likely to be singled out and targeted, as reports have already shown this. But unfortunately for you and me, regardless of your skin tone, unless you are a Japanese native-born citizen, you are not exempt of being singled out and regarded as a foreigner. Now, this is not me saying not to visit the country, as it's a beautiful country that I'm sure we would all love to appreciate one day. But just like with America, I would be an idiot to feign ignorant and act as if there wasn't a heightened risk because of the rise of the far right within the nation of Japan right now. And mind you, with respect, Japan has always been kind of closed off to foreigners anyway. And so this increase of anti-foreigner sentiment only makes it all the more alarming for all of those who want to visit Japan anytime soon. So now you know.
Consider going to Japan. Let me explain. A lot of people have been flooding Japan recently, and without knowing that there is a far-right movement happening in Japan against foreigners. And the far-right movement has already gained a lot of seats in government, already 14 from only 1 or 2 in a short period of time. And now those seats will definitely most likely be growing. A lot of reports are coming out of Japan from foreigners saying that they're not even allowed to go to certain shops, hotels, restaurants. There are signs in front of the door, and signs are saying no foreigners, no black people, no Chinese, no Koreans. Like, they write it, you're not allowed in there. And the people have called the police, and the police have done absolutely nothing about it. So if you are going to Japan, be aware and make sure you plan yourself ahead of time. You can search it online. There are so many videos on TikTok. It's flooding the internet right now. It's absolutely crazy.
My recent post about Sanseito and not being that worried about them has brought a lot of critics, a lot of Japanese people in the comments saying that Japan should be for Japanese and foreigners need to respect this and that. Okay, what if you kicked every single foreigner out of Japan, like snapped your fingers and everybody was gone, myself and everyone else included? Heck, let's throw in mixed race, throw in everyone that's not pure Japanese, kick them all out, and repatriate every single Japanese person who's now living abroad. Sorry, Otani, you're gonna have to come home. Bring them all back to Japan, right? What would happen? What would happen if that were to occur? The Japanese economy would collapse within minutes, seconds, not seconds, minutes, within a day. Okay, and I'm not exaggerating. Look at almost every single bank in Japan. Who's in their IT department that's running the whole show? Without the IT people in the back office making the banks work, the banks won't work. Insurance companies. I work with a company, MetLife. There's over 500 people in IT in MetLife, and more than half of them are foreigners. Most of those foreigners are Indian and Chinese, some Korean as well. Very few Americans, but just saying, if you got rid of every single one of those people, MetLife would shut down. Same thing with Indeed Japan, where almost 100% of the back office engineers are foreigners who speak no Japanese at all. None. Mercari, Rakuten, Amazon, all of the major life insurance companies, all of the major e-commerce companies, every single one of them would shut down within a day if they had no foreigners to run it. They could try to hire Japanese to replace them, and maybe over a couple of years, they might come close, but it would never run at the same level of performance. I don't know why that is, and you can speculate as to why that is, but I guarantee you that this would not be something they could replace within a month or two. It would absolutely devastate the Japanese economy. So stop talking about foreigners, how we're like a bother to the Japanese economy and we're a drag on the Japanese economy. We all earn wages, we all pay taxes. More than half of the money I make goes into the coffers, and guess what? That money is paying for somebody's grandma to get health care. Okay, I hope that money will be there for me when I'm 80 years old in Japan, which is probably going to happen. But, you know, stop pretending like foreigners in Japan are some kind of burden. They're not. We're helping Japan. We're keeping the place running. Okay, I know a lot of us don't understand Japanese culture and don't, perhaps know every nuance of what rules, what side of the escalator to walk on, what Tokyo versus Osaka and things like that. But if you came to Canada, there's a lot of things that Japanese do in other countries that are way against the social norms of that country. And it's just part of life. Germans visiting the Czech Republic, Russians visiting Brazil. You know, we don't always know every single nuance in the other countries. So stop pretending it's a unique problem for Japan. It's not.
多民族国家にするつもりはありません。ね、日本の政治は日本人がやります。いいですか？はい。もちろん外国の方に来てもらって一緒に働いてもらうのはいいでしょう。しかし日本の政治は日本人がやるんだ。だから皆さんね、ちゃんと選挙に行きましょうね。今どんどん外国の方増えてますから。ね、外国人参政権我々反対ですけど、でも与えるとかいうとこ出てます。ですから、しっかりと日本人が政治に参加することが大事です。日本の政治は日本人がやるんだ。
Hi guys, my name is Olivia and welcome back again to my channel. So Japan is making it clear they don't really want foreigners in their country, right? Let's call it what it is, guys. This isn't about protecting culture. This is about shutting people out. And when you start deciding who deserves to be in your country based on where they're from, that's not just isolation, that's discrimination. The liberal truth is this: no nation is an island anymore. Diversity is what makes society stronger. When you reject people just because they are different, you are not protecting tradition. You are fueling prejudice. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What is Japan? Is Japan just being protective, or is this crossing the line into outright racism? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and I'll be going through that. Okay? And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it very interesting. And please support the channel by subscribing to it.
Freedom of the press, and they are also talking about kicking out foreign workers from Japan, and they are saying that Japanese women need to be more with Japanese men. It is absolutely crazy. The right-wing party is a scary, strong, fast-growing party, and Japan's prime minister is not happy about it, and his popularity is dropping while the right wing is increasing.
犯罪が増えた？そんなの証拠ありますか？ありますか？時折事件を起こします。だからニュースになります。でも日本人の刑法犯の認知件数平均に比べて外国人は370万人いるけれども、外国人の認知件数は今救急自動車が来ましたのでちょっとしばらく控えます。外国人の刑法犯の認知件数は370万人。日本人より低いんですよ、数字は。犯罪は起こしますよ。でも日本人より低いんですよ。外国人が増えたから犯罪が増えたという言い方はこれ間違ってます。間違ったことで不安を煽るようなやり方、分断と対立を煽るやり方、 私は許してはいけないと思っています。日本が目指すべき社会は男女差これをなくしていく、あるいは年齢差によって区別しない、差別しない、国籍や民族によって差別しない、障害の有無によって差別が生まれない、外国人が増えて
日本大和という名前で移民拡大政策に反対、単一民族国家、95% の維持、埼玉県南部の外国人問題の解決、不法移民の強制送還を速やかに行う、難民申請制度を悪用されない制度へ改正する、外国人への生活保護支給の廃止、外国人の日本の土地所有の禁止、外国人の参政権反対、帰化要件の厳格化、非課人の参政権廃止、外国人労働者を減らし日本人の賃金を上げる、技能実習制度、育成就労制度の廃止、自虐史観から日本の歴史を誇れる教育に変える、憲法9条の改正です。健康保険税の、ね、支払いとかも外国人って非常に悪いんですよ、日本人に比べて。悪いんですね。日本人に比べて税金払ってません、国民健康保険で。そういうの滞納とかもすごいあるわけですで、そんなの取り立てとかもやっぱ市でもっと頑張っていかなきゃいけないとかもあるし、もろもろそういう補助金といらん補助金、外国人に特別払ってるとか、そういうもの全部洗い出していかなきゃいけないし。
Had any plans to go to Japan this year or next year, cancel them right now. I can promise you they're not making out the GC, and for this reason as well, because Japan, they don't want foreigners. Search up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Search up Japan foreigners. They do not want foreigners to enter the country right now. Been numerous reports of people saying in Japan there's signs saying no foreigners, no black people, stuff like that. So I'm telling you, if you had Japan trips planned, they are not making out the GC. You're better off trying to find somewhere else. But let's be completely honest. Most of you guys couldn't get a simple football session out of the GC and you're thinking about Japan. It was probably never making out of the GC anyway. But now you have an actual reason to why it didn't make out of the GC. So now you have an excuse. Or you can always plan another trip. There's other countries. Japan isn't the only country in the world. There's other countries for you to plan to. If you do want to hear more about it, search up on TikTok Japan foreigners and you'll probably find it. I did see a video explaining it as well, and I'll probably try and tag the person down in the caption if I can remember their name.
It's been a long time since I've been in Japan and I saw those no American signs, but that's not to say that that sentiment still isn't there with some establishments and some people. What is more common is to see signs that say no entry for foreigners. This was found on a social media platform from 2023. And then I found this interesting article by, I think the name is Pallavi Iyer, talking about being a person that presents as Indian and going to Japan and having some trouble being served. One of the things Iyer talks about is the gaijin seat. Gaijin means foreigners. And so on the train, if a foreigner is sitting in a seat, very often that seat remains unoccupied. You have to realize Japan at its core is a homogeneous society, right? Like pretty much for the longest time, there were just Japanese people there and they all looked similar, right? There weren't very pale-skinned people or dark-skinned people. And so anything that was different or looked different, anybody was seen as an outsider. And sometimes those sort of habits and beliefs are hard to dispel.
Happening in Japan because a specific group of people is using their time in Japan to commit horrific crimes because they know that they will get away with it, and they have gotten away with it for years. Japan demands action after surge of US military SAs in Okinawa. This is not a new thing, this has been going on for years, but if you try to find any type of big media outlet in the US talking about it, they are not. They are completely ignoring this issue, just like they have been ignoring this for years now. Every few months you have another report. Down here you have July of 2024, then you have September of 2024, and now you have a week ago. I believe this is the only media outlet from the US that's talking about it, Stars and Stripes. But other than that, you will hear next to nothing when it comes to the crimes that the US military is committing against other people, but also SA crimes that are happening in the military, so military members attacking other military members. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi has demanded that the US military take immediate and serious action to curb the rising number of SA committed by service members stationed in Okinawa Island. This call for change comes after a recent SA incident involving a Marine, marking the 5th such crime in just over a year. By the way, this is the 5th crime that is officially reported. We don't know how many more people have suffered because of this without ever telling anybody. The most recent attack occurred in November when a US serviceman believed to be in his 30s was accused of SAing a woman, resulting in injuries. This attack took place in a building located in central Okinawa, and it has reignited long-standing concerns among local residents about the presence of the US military forces on the island, which is home to the majority of American military facilities in Japan. Hayashi, who is responsible for managing the impact of the military activities in Okinawa, expressed his concerns during a press conference. "We will urge US forces in Japan to strengthen discipline and fully implement preventive measures." To be honest, I don't think you need discipline to not SA somebody. You just need to be a decent human being. And if these people are not able to be decent human beings, they have no space in the military. Many residents are very concerned about these people. The SA was swiftly reported to local police by the victim, and the alleged perpetrator has been referred to prosecutors for possible charges. However, under the Japan-US Status of Forces Agreement, American military personnel accused of crimes in Japan are typically detained in US custody until formally charged, unless apprehended at the scene of the crime. Okinawa Governor Denny Tamaki has been vocal in his condemnation of the recent rise in violent crimes committed by US service members. There have been 5 serious and heinous crimes in the past year that have disregarded the human rights and dignity of women. By the way, not just women, many of these victims are also minors. I believe there is a need to lodge strong protests with both the Japanese and US governments. Only in December, a Japanese court convicted senior airman Brennan Washington of kidnapping and SAing a 15-year-old girl in 2023. Washington was sentenced to 5 years in prison with hard labor, although he has appealed the verdict. Earlier this year, we had another Marine who had attempted to SA somebody in June, and before that, another Marine was charged in September with injuring a woman during an SA. This has just started the debate on whether or not the US should be there in the first place. Many locals are disagreeing with that. They're like, why are you even here? You are interfering in so many places all around the world with your little bases and basically creating your own laws, doing whatever you want to do. Especially when it comes to crimes committed against locals, a lot of them are ignored. Another thing they're worried about is noise pollution from the military aircraft, environmental damage, and the increase in violent crimes. It was also revealed that last year the Japanese government had failed to report 2 additional SA cases involving US service members, further undermining public trust. This military base has existed since the end of World War II, and many people are like, it's been enough time, it's been enough years, and you guys can go. Especially when you keep hurting and SAing our women. And this type of issue seems so small to like the US military that, as I said before, there are no really big media outlets reporting on it. It has been predominantly local Japanese media outlets. Like, just imagine if another country's military would create a base in the US itself and then start SAing the women in that area. How long do you think it would take before the US would kick them out? The Marines have